Deputy Speaker, I rise to support the member for Riverina's motion regarding foot and mouth disease, a disease that has been spreading throughout Indonesia, including the holiday destination of Bali. Madam Deputy Speaker, roughly half of Australia's cattle population live in Queensland, and roughly 1/3 of that lives in central Queensland, which includes my electorate of Flynn. Many graziers have contacted me concerned about what foot and mouth disease outbreak would mean to their businesses and, more significantly, to Australia in general. If foot and mouth disease reaches Australian shores, it will devastate the agricultural industry, associated industries, and cost the Australian economy tens of billions of dollars. In 2001, in the United Kingdom, foot and mouth disease forced the destruction of more than 6 million pigs, cows and sheep at an estimated cost of £8 billion. Australia's agricultural industry is worth much more than the United Kingdom's, with our beef industry being worth more than $20 billion alone. A new report commissioned by the Regional Development Australia, Central and Western Queensland, has predicted catastrophic economic consequences if an outbreak of foot and mouth disease would occur. This disease would inflict a $1.1 billion hit to the Central Queensland and Western Queensland economies and cause almost 34,000 job losses. The RDA report shows that Western Queensland and the banana regions account for more of Australia's cattle herd than any other regions and would suffer gross regional product losses of 37.3% and 10.1% respectively. Madam Deputy Speaker, it is clear that the Labor government simply does not get it. In the short time coming to office, Labor has a biosecurity crisis on its hands. The Labor government's response to FMD has been marred by indecision, uncertainty and embarrassing backflipping. Since FMD outbreak in Bali, the federal government has been slow to react. Labor's approach to an $80 billion risk to the Australian economy is dangerously indecisive at a time when Australian farmers are crying out for tough measures. A prime example of this is that Labor took over 4 weeks to put foot mats at airports, allowing tens of thousands of people to waltz through our borders from Indonesia despite our calls. There has been the State Minister for Agriculture in Western Australia, Labor government, saying that an outbreak of FMD in Australia would result in cheaper meat and milk. These comments from a state Labor minister about a disease which threatens tens of thousands of livelihoods is appalling and offensive. Agricultural ministers have a serious job. They are meant to understand the industry and then support and promote it. This minister has shown she is incapable of this, and it demonstrates yet again that the Labor Party does not understand the needs and concerns of the agricultural sector. Our agricultural industry needs to be protected against biosecurity threats such as foot and mouth disease, and this requires leadership. On the 22nd of July, New Zealand introduced a ban on travellers from Indonesia bringing in animal and meat products. If this measure was good enough for New Zealand, why not Australia? Mr Deputy Speaker, every single arrival from Indonesia needs to be screened. This does not matter whether arrivals have visited the cities in Indonesia or rural areas. The foot and mouth disease threat is too great. Since the outbreak of foot and mouth disease, the Coalition has been calling for this Labor government to immediately offer 3D X-ray technology to Indonesia to help combat the threat of the disease at their airports. This state-of-the-art technology works, and the Labor government must urgently move to establishing a similar screening program with Indonesia. Labor must act swiftly and work constructively with Indonesia to get this technology operating for incoming luggage. If we are to have the technology, why not use it? Offering 3D X-ray technology to Indonesian airports and banning travellers from carrying food products from Indonesia are all necessary, particularly when the federal government's 1 million vaccines for Indonesia have only just arrived. A shameful 7 weeks after they were promised. Mr Deputy Speaker, we need to explore the possibility of temporarily suspending all but essential travel to Indonesia, including Bali, at the same protocol that has implemented to contain the spread of COVID-19. Industry groups are calling for border closures because they are not convinced the Labor government has a plan to adequately manage this major issue. To restore public confidence in the management of this Labor government must explain why border closures will not be considered and explain why existing measures are adequate.